And now time for The Viewing Room with Adam and Ethan.
Welcome to The Viewing Room. I'm Ethan, he's
Adam.
and we are going to review a very special movie today.
It is very special.
And
very special.
we think it's special for two very different reasons.
Can I just interrupt for a second? We really need to get better on these intros because as I've been editing our previous episodes, the number of times where you go like, I'm Ethan, and you want me to say I'm Adam, but there's like a full second or sometimes 2 or 3 where before I realize that I'm supposed to say that.
Okay, well we can maybe we won't redo it, but we
won't
can
redo
practice.
it.
Let's practice.
We'll practice it.
Welcome to The Viewing Room. My name's Ethan. and
I'm
he's-
Adam. Oh, come on.
Do you want me to say Adam as well?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, you
easier
want me
if
to
you
say
say
Adam?
the whole thing.
Okay, okay.
You know, let's just say I'm not a natural
All
at
right,
this.
number 3. Let's do this. Welcome to The Viewing Room. My name's Ethan, and he's Adam. Today we're reviewing a very special film. That was pretty good.
We got it.
Until I interrupted it. But anyways,
you know.
if you don't know, we really didn't give any hints to what movie we're watching.
No, we
but,
didn't.
we're going to be talking about Mystery Men, which Adam loves.
I love it.
I loved a little less.
It's very. You said it's special. To me, it's special because it holds a special place in my heart. I've been watching this movie since I was like. I think my dad showed it to me when I was like 7, maybe 8. I don't know. And it's held a very special place in my heart since then.
Well, it's special to me because I think it has a special place in the very, very back of my DVD closet. All right, so it was released on July 22nd, 99. Fun fact, that's the same day Scorsese married his 5th wife,
That's big
Helen.
boy.
And they're still married today.
He just about said they're happily married.
25 years is the longest marriage. Number 5. 5 is a lucky number.
I guess so.
Which is insane. I can't even think. Wow. Like the turnover for wives is insane.
Yeah, that's. How old is he now? Like,
he's got to be up
ancient.
there. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know, but I mean, still, like,
Yeah.
but that's a fun fact that happened on July 22nd, 99.
Yeah.
99, the year my car was made. That's cool.
Mine was made 7 years later.
Wow, that's less cool. It had a budget of 68 million, and it grossed a whopping 33 million. So
Yeah. It didn't do
yikes,
well. at the
less
box
than
office.
half. Which is funny because Ben Stiller movies usually, they're pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
but
Meet the
I mean-
Fockers, great movie. Or I guess Meet the Parents, then Meet the Fockers. But I'm saying Fockers, Gary. I think this is probably my least favorite, like, kind of Ben Stiller movie. And we'll get into, like, some of the things I like and dislike, and obviously you can, kind of rebuttal. But, like, when we think of other movies like Tropic Thunder, for example, this one falls really short.
I'm not gonna try and explain why it's a good movie because really it's not. Like when I
Right.
watch it, I'm like, oh, this is a shitty movie. But there's something about it that it's just very, very close to my heart, and I enjoy watching it every once in a while. I watch it every couple of years just because I don't know, it's part of my childhood.
Yeah, and that's something we should talk about today is how each movie can kind of have a very specific emotional connection to people.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
for me, the Cars movie,
Mhm.
I still remember the smell of the original DVD case because I would watch it all the time. I
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
it so much as a kid that my parents had to buy a second CD because
Yeah.
I had burnt out the other
I
one.
remember I had a DVD of, I think it was Cars. I don't remember which one. Whatever the one he tastes the wasabi in. I think it's 3.
That's Cars 2.
Or Cars 2, yeah.
Cars 2.
Yeah. That one. I remember watching that over and over and over again. And I always also just watch the intro to it, and where like Hudson does like the secret agent, getting into that oil rig. I would just watch that opening to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
No, that was good. And it wasn't Hudson.
Whatever it was. I don't remember. I haven't watched it in years.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who don't like Cars 2. We're getting way off topic, but I like Cars 2.
I liked it.
But that's something we can talk about later. Maybe some kind of emotional impact some of these films may have on us. Obviously, for me, yeah, and I guess as the film as a whole, it's a spoof. right?
Oh,
It's not
totally, yeah.
supposed to be a serious movie. It's a comedy, but I think uh, for me, it felt like it fell flat. There was no spark, almost in a way. But yeah, we'll get into that after we get over the technical stuff here. Directed by Kinka Usher, starring Ben Stiller, of course. Mr. Angry,
Mr. Furious.
Mr. Furious. Oh,
Yes.
wrong. What is that? What
Synonym?
cinnamon?
They're synonyms, I guess. I
Cinnamon.
think so.
Okay.
This has become a theme. We
Yeah, I
really
don't
gotta
know.
hope that our English teachers don't watch this.
Well, I think really once you're out of high school, it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah,
And-
but they're gonna feel like they didn't teach us anything.
Listen, man, I'm
sorry, Calhoun. You did teach me something.
oh man, I love Calhoun.
I did too.
We gotta
He
get
actually
him
taught
on.
me something.
We gotta get him on when we do Shawshank, 'cause that man
Yes.
could talk
Yes.
about it. I don't know. It seems like one of those things where there's a very common trend between us, I'd say, where we usually like movies we watch together, right?
Mhm.
We have similar opinions and stuff, but I feel like with this movie,
This is
it's gonna
gonna-
be very, very different. But I'm
Yeah.
open to that. It's gonna be strange, but
Yep.
obviously when someone comes in watching a movie for a first time, maybe with more of a critical approach,
Mhm.
as opposed to someone who's watched it 100 times and loves it and has very fond memories of it. There's obviously two very different perspectives there that
Yeah.
we'll look at. Shall I read a synopsis?
Yeah, do it.
Perfect. Let's do it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll probably just use ChatGPT to write all my scripts, so I don't need to worry about cinnamons and and nans.
Antonyms, metaphors, similes, hyperbole.
Oh, I was just gonna say, don't even get me started on hyperbole. All right, so the synopsis for Mystery Men. I like how it's called Mystery Men and not like Mystery Man. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a team. They're a
Yeah,
team.
I know. That's interesting.
To work as
Oh.
a team, you must first become a team.
Oh man, we should have made so many notes. To watch the viewing room, you must first subscribe to the room of viewing. That was pretty good.
To watch the viewing room, you must first learn to view the room you watch.
I'm writing a complaint. All right. So, going through here. Champions.
world where
In a
one man remains. Fuck.
Champion City already has a superhero, the appropriately named Captain Amazing. But that doesn't deter the city's 7 quirky amateur crime fighters. That doesn't deter the crime fighters. I'll finish reading this, but like, there's 3 of them. There's the OGs. Let's not,
Yeah.
let's not
Yeah.
disregard the shoveler. Okay. Anyways, the 7 quirky amateur crime fighters who use the captain's capture at the hands of villain Casanova Frankenstein as motivation to prove themselves. The only problem is that their strange powers, silverware hurling, bowling, shoveling, incompetent invisibility, and deadly flatulence.
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 Flat? Oh,
Flatulence.
aren't doing them any favors. Wow, that one really smooth. Yeah, there's a lot of fart jokes in this.
There
movie.
is.
I think after the second one, I just stopped.
I mean, that's probably why I liked it so much as a kid.
All right. Well, maybe we'll talk about a plot. And since you've seen it so many times, I think you best lead the procession here.
All right, so start off at the dinner, and the Red Eyes invade, but the Mystery Men are there to save the day. But then it doesn't go so well for them, and Captain Amazing comes along and actually saves the day. And they have little, like, oh, Captain Amazing, yes, and keep up the good work. Blue Roger comes back to that. Anyway, and then Captain Amazing's in his limousine, and he's talking with his PR person, and Pepsi dropped their sponsorship from him, so now he's was it Pepsi? I think it was Pepsi.
Yeah.
Pepsi dropped their sponsorship, so now he's like, we got to do something great to to get this going again, and
You want to know a quick fact?
sure.
He rips off the Pepsi logo thing on
Yeah.
his sleeve, but for the rest of the
It's still
entire
there.
movie, it's still on his
Yeah.
sleeve.
Yeah.
which is hilarious.
Script supervisor wasn't doing their job.
Is there a script supervisor on
No, there's not a script
spoofs?
supervisor.
Is there a script supervisor on spoofs like this? Because I feel like your job would be to just turn a blind eye.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Anyway, he's in the limousine, and he's like, I need something. You know, we got to revitalize this. I feel like I'm not fighting. You know, there's no challenge. And so then he goes to Casanova Frankenstein's parole hearing. It's, I think, his 7th one. And, you know, they're about to deny it again because, you know, he's an evil mastermind and whatnot. And he's like, I have this letter from Captain Amazing. And, of course, he does the classic Superman thing, puts on the glasses, and nobody recognizes him. And he reads this letter that's from Captain Amazing. And it's like, you know, I believe in, you know, forgiveness. And so at the hands of, or at the recommendation of Captain Amazing, they release Casanova Frankenstein back into the world. And he immediately goes and finds the Disco Brothers and starts building some massive, you know, earth-shattering kaboom weapon.
Like
it was
Dr.
the earth-shattering
Doofenshmirtz.
kaboom. There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
That's a really good impression. Can I hire you?
Sure.
Perfect.
Ah, Perry the Platypus. What an unexpected surprise.
A
And by
platypus?
unexpected, I mean totally expected.
Eddie the platypus. And no one got that reference.
No, probably.
But that's
not.
fine. Aside if you're between the ages of what, 14 and 24?
Probably, yeah. All right. And then, I'm trying to remember how they go from there.
Captain Amazing is captured.
Yes, that's right. So then, of course, he goes to fight them, you know, or Captain Amazing does, and then he gets captured. So then the Mystery Men decide that they need to save Captain Amazing. And so they're able to sneak in and into his lair, and then they're trying to help Captain Amazing out. And he's not being very clear with his instructions on what toggles to flip. And the Blue Raja just comes along and says, all right, this is the one when flips it, and it starts the machine. And Captain Amazing is what is the term they use? What is that? Like you're
It's very disfigured.
but he's disfigured is
Well,
one way to put
if
it.
there was a visual description, it would be like if I were to put a bowl of magma in Adam's lap and then flick it up to his face and then basically like contort him into a ball and then sit on it.
Yeah,
And that's
it's,
essentially
Yeah, it was interesting, and then he trying to think what. So then of course, you know, Captain Amazing's dead, and they're freaking out,
well,
and
I wouldn't even use the word dead. I'd say
yeah, well,
eviscerated.
because they had a long when they talked to the mad scientist guy later, they had a quite an in-depth explanation for how it works. And I can't remember how it all goes now, but there was like something where like it's internal and blah, blah, I don't know. Anyway, besides the point. He's dead. They fucked up. So then they regroup and they're like, all right, we need to stop Casanova Frankenstein. It's on us now. The fate of the city, you know, the classic superhero tropes. But they're like, we need more help. So they start holding the recruitment, and they have the backyard, or the barbecue.
Essentially
Pulling
a
everything.
meet and greet for wannabe superheroes.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Waffler, that is like one of the most quoted things in my household. My dad and I just randomly, anytime somebody mentions waffles, you know, Waffle Man, old and crispy, bad guys are history. Yow. I just love that.
So dumb.
It's so dumb, but it's you know, it's hilarious. You know, I am Pencilhead. I am son of Pencilhead. It's just the dumbest
dumb.
shit ever.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anyway.
I'm laughing more talking about it than I actually did watching it, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I was laughing a lot, and you were just like sitting there, like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
A couple times you just looked over and be like, "Why are we watching this?"
I was like, I did not just drink a lukewarm Coke for this.
And then, trying to think now what happens.
We can be
Oh
quick
yeah,
with it.
so they didn't get any hits on the barbecue, and then this girl comes along and they're like, yeah, and she's like, is the superhero tryouts? And they're like, yeah, no, they're over, we're done. And she's like, okay. And then she throws a bowling ball at them, and they realize that she's really good at throwing bowling balls accurately.
A bowling ball with the dead,
skull, with her dad's skull in
her
it.
dead dad's skull ingrained.
Who was the
into it.
original bowler? So
Yeah.
like she's like the son of the bowler. Anyway, they let her on the team, and then they're like, well, but we need more help here. Like, there's the Sphinx, it's the Sphinx. And so did they try once more before they find the Sphinx, or how does that work?
I think you got immediately kicked out. Yeah. And then
Yeah, that's right. They tried and it didn't
DNOS.
work, and so they went and the Sphinx found them, and then he agreed to train them.
Training montage to All-Star Smash Mouth,
Yep.
which insanely weird fact, but Smash Mouth's All-Star was created for this movie.
I know. Yeah.
And many people actually think it was created for Shrek. Nope. It was created for this movie soundtrack.
It was created for this movie, yeah.
And that is just a crazy
See,
fact.
that's funny. I remember one time at a school talent show when I was in like grade 4 or 5 maybe, and somebody sang the Smash Mouth All-Star, like, how people do when they're in elementary school.
Sure.
And everybody was like, oh, it's from Shrek, or whatever. And I was like, no, it's from Mystery Men. That just tells you what kind of child.
Oh, you were that kid. No, I still think it's from Shrek. Even
No,
after
it's
knowing
Mystery
that fact,
It's from Mystery Men.
in my heart, it was made
It has
for Shrek.
always been associated with Mystery Men.
Yeah, by 3 people worldwide.
Hey, technically those 3 people are right.
We could do a focus group where we bring 100 people into one room, sit them down with a piece of paper and say, all right, write what movie or TV show this song is from. And we'd play, All-Star. And I guarantee you 98 of 100 people are saying Shrek.
Okay, but no.
Okay, but no.
No.
In my heart,
I don't believe you.
In my heart, it's gonna be created for Shrek.
Well, it's not.
It was, and truthfully too, just non-biased. I think it was used better in Shrek. In the opening Shrek, I think they used it better than their training montage.
Well, yeah.
In Mystery Men, I think it had a better use and memorability in Shrek. But it was genuinely created for Mystery Men. But yeah, I do think it had a little bit more mileage with Shrek.
Anyway, and then we have all of his amazing quotes, which are, as we were already kind of alluding to, if you want to see what you are looking at, first you must learn to look at what you're seeing, things like that, and just reversing it every time.
Which is kind of like how my Google Maps works on low data mode. Very, very, very vague descriptions of where I'm supposed to go because the map isn't loaded.
So then they give it another shot with the Sphinx this time, and with Invisible Boy, and the spleen. Sorry, the spleen. Pull my finger. Pull my finger.
No.
Oh, okay.
I would say of all the movies I've watched this year, that is the least likable character.
The spleen.
Yeah. Just hearing you talk like that.
Hilarious.
It's just like a grosser version of Sid the Sloth.
He's just hilarious, though.
I'm going home.
Well, that was a short episode.
No, that is just gross. It reminds me of if I was forced by the cartel to lick a toilet plunger that was just used in a public bathroom next to the bar of an airport.
All right, then that was an oddly specific description.
Yeah, it's happened to me twice this year. Which
Oh,
is insane.
okay. All right. Yeah, good then. Good then. I don't think you've even been to the airport twice this year.
No, I haven't. Whoopsie. I'm going to the airport tonight. But, yeah.
All right, then.
Maybe I'll try it. So they team up.
They team up.
They're with the spleen and the Sphinx.
The Sphinx, the spleen, the daughter of the bowler, and
we should say
Invisible Boy.
the Sphinx is the only one that actually has superpowers. Everyone else, well, Everyone else kind of has superpowers, kind of doesn't.
I'd say the
It's
bowler is it also has superpowers.
well, I'd say it's more like her dad's dead skull and a ball that like magically floats around. Like it's more like Flubber. I wouldn't consider Flubber a superpower.
That is a
Mr.
good
Furious. That's not. I mean, he gets angry and he can punch a dude. Maybe that's a superpower. That's like the Hulk, just less cool. What else? The Shoveler. I mean, I love William Macy.
I mean, he's not. I wouldn't say it's a superpower, but he's definitely very skilled. He's sort of like Hawkeye in that, like, it's not necessarily a superpower, but like he's very, very skilled at what he does.
Yeah, but the Sphinx
You
has
know.
actual powers,
Well,
where he can cut guns in half, just like magically.
That's true. He is able to do that.
But I guess Invisible Boy or what was his name?
Invisible Boy, yeah.
Invisible Boy. He can go invisible technically. He has to get naked to do that.
Well, yeah,
But
we didn't really I guess we don't really know for sure. I mean, I guess technically we do. Like they do kind of. Yeah, because like he is invisible, I guess.
how old is he?
I don't know, 15 or 16 maybe.
I
Or
have
17?
a fan theory.
Oh.
They say he has to get naked to change.
Oh, I see where
They
this
can't
is going.
legally show like a 16, 17-year-old naked on screen. That would be literally like that's illegal.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
Maybe.
why
Maybe.
they're like, well, we can't get away with this because this is really against the law. Obviously, the actor would be older than that, but like it just that wouldn't work. I think from a storytelling perspective, because they're like, if you have a character called the Boy, anything the Boy or Boy, it's like, I don't really know if you can get away saying that character strips for their superpower. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that.
Well, I think it's not so
is-
much that he strips for it. I think it's that when he goes invisible, it's like the clothes don't have anything to hold on to.
What?
I think.
But
It's like he.
by
like,
that logic, you just fall through the floor, right? 'Cause
oh yeah, I guess.
it would be like,
I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, this is we should stop trying to debate on the scientific and accuracy of a superhero movie.
that's true, a spoof movie nonetheless. But yeah, that's my theory, is that it was actually just a complete crime to show any
Yeah.
of that. So they're
Anyway.
like, yeah, let's not.
So they go through the whole fight and whatnot, and they succeed in getting rid of Casanova.
Frankenstein.
Casanova Frankenstein talks like this.
You know what? This movie's better than The Godfather. Second to Citizen Kane, but still better than The Godfather.
I disagree.
I'm joking.
Okay, good.
I already told you I did not like this movie.
Okay, but I don't know how much you dislike The Godfather.
I enjoyed The Godfather.
All right, then good. All right. Anyway, and then, he gets the girl in the end, the waitress, and
Mr. Furious.
Yes, Mr. Furious. And so does the shoveler, because his wife was going to leave him if he kept doing it, but then he's a hero of the city, so then his wife stays.
Which is interesting. The Mr. Furious arc is strange. Because it's like, he's so angry and rude to everyone, right? And this girl just is like, thinks he's a prick. And he like shows her he's not a prick by like walking her home. And she gets kidnapped, and they only knew each other for one day. And then she's like, oh yeah, well, you saved my life. Thank you so much. I, so in love with you. And then he uses his only power, which is getting angry, to beat the bad guy. And now she's in love with him. Now, I'm not like an expert in psychology, but if I met you, right? And the next day I was kidnapped and you came and saved me because you were like, oh, I feel bad that you were kidnapped because we had such a good time when I met you once at a diner. Do you think we'd be doing this episode of the viewing room right now?
No, probably not.
No, because we'd be making love. All right, so next on the agenda. Oh, that's going to be real awkward when your parents see this. Oh my God, that's so bad. Do you think that's enough of the plot? Have we?
Yeah, I think we've covered the plot. It's a pretty simple plot.
It's a pretty simple plot.
It just makes fun of the superhero trope, really.
Yeah, there's some good gags. I mean, like the bit of Captain Amazing saying like, they're debating whether or not this millionaire dude or billionaire dude is Captain Amazing, and it's like, well, no, he's not, because this dude wears glasses.
Yeah.
Captain Amazing doesn't wear glasses.
Yeah.
I think that is a hilarious bit. I think that's funny.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of jokes that didn't just feel right.
Yeah, there's a lot that don't land. But
There's some moments like I wrote here on my sheet that I thought it was like admirable. Like when I smiled at some things, I didn't like have any huge like laugh out loud, super funny moments. But I didn't feel the spark, or maybe it felt bland to me. Like where others might have seen like, oh, it's a spoof. There's a lot of flavor here in the superhero genre and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel as connected to it in terms of a spoof. It felt less like a spoof and more of like a lack of effort. And I hope those things don't get confused, because obviously when you do a spoof, like I consider Scream to be a good spoof, right? When you do it well, it seems like you've put a lot of time and effort onto it. Obviously, like you're ripping from other pieces of media, but it's almost like there's like some level of respect to it, because you're still honoring those pieces and you're putting the time and effort into it, and it feels, the audience can tell that, yeah, this is a spoof, but there's still a lot to digest here and some new things. But for me, this really just felt like a lack of effort, or like not as bold. I don't even know exactly what the term would be, but it made it feel like, and I know this probably wasn't the intentions of any of the filmmakers or any of the people who worked super hard to bring this movie to life, but it did feel like less of a spoof and more of like, oh, that was kind of just like a crummy show, and I didn't get a lot of that like superheroes are goofy, and we can make fun of the tropes. It was more of like you get what I'm trying to say?
No, sort of, but like not really, because I think they did a good job of making fun of some of the tropes.
I do think some of the tropes are good. Like I said, the glasses one is funny.
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part there was just some character lacks, and I was reading reviews, and there's some people who said like the character development is the best in this movie, like that they've ever seen.
Say so. I mean, it's not
like I don't think so. I think the only character I really, really enjoyed was Eddie's character, or like the shoveler.
Yeah.
I think William Macy did a fantastic job. I like him as an actor, and I don't know. He seemed like the most down to earth character that made sense in this kind of team movie, where he was like, maybe he doesn't have a real superpower per se, but he does really care, and he cares about his friends, and he cares about the team. And so I thought personally that was my favorite character. Like Ben Stiller's character, Mr. Furious, like I wouldn't say he was redeemed by any sort of means. So, like obviously the team welcomes him back, he helps save the day, but really, like what changed for him? He was super angry.
Well, he realized that he doesn't have to be Mr. Furious. He can just be himself.
Right, but how does he win in the final fight? He isn't himself. He turns into Mr. Furious. He gets really
That's
mad.
True. Yeah, that is true.
Right? So you can't go that entire logic and be like, Clark Kent isn't going to go through his entire life being like, okay, I'm Clark Kent. I'm going to survive. This is going to be great, and nothing's going to change for me. And I don't have to be Superman anymore. I can just be myself. Well, I guess technically Superman is himself. He doesn't have to be Clark Kent. So whatever. But then something happens to someone he loves, and he's like, or aliens invade and some shit, and he's like, all right, I got to be Superman again, right? And that's how those things work, right? So I don't necessarily think that's like a fantastic arc of him getting to be himself, because the whole point in really, getting past the team and joining forces and stuff was, he went to be Captain Furious, and he learned how to be in a team, and maybe that's a big change, but really it was just as simple as a girl telling him like, don't be an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying, and again, I'm gonna just chalk it up to it's not supposed to be like serious. But I agree that even within the idea of making fun of the superhero trope, they could have done a better job of some of those character arcs. Because, yeah, well, for all the reasons you said.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, obviously, trying to poke fun at something and make a comedy or a spoof, doesn't excuse laziness or poor writing in a sense, and that's kind of like the vibe I got from it. But obviously, there's a lot of people who took different things out of it, like you, of course, and so I do think that's interesting. Obviously, there's no excuse for the bad writing and stuff like that, because in order for a spoof to work, in my opinion, you need to be intelligent with it. You need to find the aspects that work and don't work, and find a way. How can we make this funny? How can we turn this into a film that most people enjoy, and that doesn't come across as, oh, we're just going to sit here and make fun of it, but we're going to tell an actual story through the lens of maybe a bunch of different pieces, right? And that was the vibe I got from it. But obviously, I think, maybe there's things I missed that I would have thought maybe that is a little more creative and better. But I think it was definitely more of like a, turn your brain off. This is gonna be fart jokes for 3 hours.
I don't know. I like, probably my favorite character is the Blue Raja.
Yeah,
like the Blue Raja.
Yeah,
it's
pretty funny.
I like the.
Are you smoking the marijuana?
Oh, yeah, are you smoking the marijuana? No, mother, I'm not smoking the marijuana. But then I do like how in the end his mom is just like, oh, well, oh, my son, I always knew you had a gift, and you're so special, and
gives him the family like heirloom.
Yeah, give him the family heirlooms. Like, Can you imagine?
That's funny.
Not that he has much of a character arc. We're talking about character arcs. I wouldn't say he really changes a whole lot. Like, I mean, other than
he gets more accurate.
Yeah, that's about the only change he has. Is instead of throwing like this, he holds his cloak and goes like this. That's about the only change.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What else did you like and dislike?
One thing, I didn't like it or dislike it, but like it's technically set like in a futuristic. Like they show occasional like establishing shots of like a city, like a futuristic city and like flying cars and all that. And I thought that they didn't lean into that enough. Like it wasn't clear enough that that's what it is, because it felt like they had establishing shots of like a futuristic city and flying cars and all this kind of stuff. But then
everything is just normal.
Everything was just like normal 21st century life.
And they have suburbs.
Yeah, and they've got suburbs and like even like, the old tank that they used to get in. Like that was like something you would find in the time frame that it was made, not in this futuristic city. So I felt like they could have done a much better job of leaning into the futuristic aspect of it, and it could have enhanced the story if they'd done it that way. But
I agree, and I think that's maybe something that might be overlooked. With a budget of $68 million, obviously there's a lot of technical elements to work out, and it's the 90s. Maybe there's not as good as CGI and stuff like that, but
then don't do that, because I mean those shots of like those establishing shots would have been pretty heavy CG, and so maybe
they weren't used enough. Like, where did the money go to, right?
So yeah, I don't know.
I think, and I would argue too, that for its time, this movie didn't have very great CG. For a movie with a $68 million budget being 99, I mean, that's, I think the perfect example of like revolutionary VFX work and stuff would be probably Star Wars.
Yeah.
70s, right? Like, or I guess even in
but
the
that's
90s,
a little different though, because the kind of special effects that they were doing in Star Wars was like simpler. Because,
right, but
right,
even think about like Jurassic Park.
True,
things like that.
But how big was the budget on Jurassic Park?
We can look that up.
It was a lot bigger than Mystery Man, I'm pretty sure.
Right, but $68 million for a movie like that is also insane.
Yeah. True. But I don't know.
Jurassic Park budget $63 million USD.
Really?
It had less of a budget. Oh my god.
All right.
That's
never
insane.
mind then. I stand corrected. I guess they could have done a better job.
And it grossed $1 billion.
Well, they made pretty good money on that.
What? Yeah, okay. So $5 million less budget, right? Okay, we can argue it's Spielberg, right? You know, Steven Spielberg is pretty legendary, right?
For good reason.
And it was made in 1993.
Oh,
So it came out 6 years earlier with less budget, and I'd argue that is some of the best like CG in a movie. Pretty much like, I don't even what would you reference that to? It was so revolutionary.
Yeah, it was
The T Rexes and stuff going from like animatronic to like actual CG and whatever and bringing it to life. Insanely good movie. And so I think there's not a lot of excuses once you get past like the 50 million mark. I think there has to be some sort of limitations. Write what you have available to you, essentially, right? With $68 million, you can make a lot happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, and I can flip to the next one. Obviously, their budget's $200 million, right? Obviously, they probably spent an extra $100 million on advertising.
But this movie also or Deadpool and Wolverine also came out 25 years later.
Right. Like speaking of justice to inflation, though.
I could at home on my $2,000 PC do special effects that are similar. Not as good a quality, but I could do the basics of it, right? Like it's gotten a lot easier.
Right.
But
and I do think very late 90s.
Yeah, you're right. They could have not they could have.
I think there was a lot of interesting budget choices then too, because even the costumes aren't that crazy. I think a lot of it must have went into special effects and stuff like that, but I don't think any of it was super revolutionary, and I don't think any of it was well spent. They create this futuristic city and stuff, but I feel like it could have done just fine without any of that stuff because they don't use it. They don't put it into scope.
Like that was my point, is that it's not like they didn't lean into that as much. But I think also with the costumes, I'm gonna say I think that was part of showing that they were just like two amateur ragtag bunches, is that they don't have the greatest costumes. Like he was using the something like his kid's baseball chest plate, I think that was maybe less of a budget choice and more of a style choice, and a story choice. But I don't know. I would be curious to see a breakdown of where the money went in this film, because now that you do point it out, like
68 is a lot.
68 is a lot, and I mean, there's not a lot of Ben Stiller and what's his face who played the shoveler. You said the name like 3 times.
William Macy.
William Macy. Like, those are the two biggest names in here. So it's
Hank
not like
Azaria also did a fantastic job. Hank Azaria.
Yeah,
he did a great job.
But so actor salaries probably wasn't a big portion of it.
Sure.
And so it would be interesting to see a breakdown of where it went, and who knows, maybe there was a lot more CG shots in what they had originally done, but then when they cut it together and they recut it, maybe they got rid of it, a lot of it, because it just didn't make sense, or it was too long, or whatever. Maybe there was more of that and we just didn't see it. I don't know. Maybe if you watched the extended cut or something, there'd be more. I don't know. But
I'm looking up what 68 million USD in 99 was now.
102.
This is a horrible calculator. I'm on the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, man.
Oh my god. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I think the point of this is they probably could have spent the budget better. From what we know, from the information that we have available, the budget could have been broken down and spent better. But
I gotta see. I'm sorry, I'm invested in this. 6800. How many zeros are in a million? 6.
Yeah.
7 total. I don't know. 10 million.
7 total digits.
$128.3 million. 128 million. So, come on. 128 million? I think you and I both know that with 128 million, you can make some pretty good stuff.
Yep.
I do think a fair comparison at this point would be Jurassic Park. I think that's the closest thing right now that we can come up with, because obviously there's closer, but maybe we could even talk about The Watchmen, whatever year that came out.
Yeah, Watchmen was, I think, around there too. But I think also with this one, there wasn't as much CG, really. There was like some of the lightning stuff and
Like
a
well, like
couple
the fork throwing and
a couple of that, but I didn't
the
think it was.
lasers.
Yeah, but it wasn't really heavy on CG. So like,
No, yeah. There's these large set pieces. You know, we talk about the mansion. We talk about the parole hearing place, like the little
Yeah.
prison. We talk about the suburbs, like the backyard barbecue, and then obviously a main place in the diner, and then kind of a place that looks like almost like a New York little apartment building there. You know, when he drops her off,
Yeah.
Mr. Pierce. But I'm on the board of like they did not need to make this futuristic. They did
no,
not.
you're right.
need-
They absolutely didn't.
they didn't need to kind of show it in that light because it's it's one of those things where they didn't use that
No,
essentially.
and that was my point. Is that they if they were going to do that, like they showed those establishing shots, then they needed to lean into it more. And if they didn't, then like, and that was just confusing.
And they
really.
show like the futuristic metropolis and was it a flying car? I can't remember that he gets
Yeah, there's lots
into.
of flying cars and stuff.
And then again, when they finish the final fight scene and the mansion blows up, where are they? They're like under like I don't know, like a little bridge and stuff outside the property in the middle of the road, and everything looks
Yeah, and like
normal
even
and sunny.
even like the TV and cameras and like the reporters and everything are no different than ones we had
Right.
have today or had then. Like they're exactly the same, which is so weird. Like you'd think if we had flying cars, we'd have a different system for TV.
right. And I think that's one of those things that to me comes off as maybe a little bit more like less caring, kind of like laziness
Poor
things
planning almost.
because yes, it's a spoof movie, but I think there's a certain point too with no matter how much of a spoof you're making, when you're spending the time, energy, and resources to create an atmosphere like that, you can't completely stray away from that all of a sudden. I mean, I guess you can, but that to me
Doesn't
makes it
necessarily pay
less
off.
of a spoof and
Yeah,
stuff.
for
and
sure.
it turns it less into you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I know what you mean. I
Well,
got you.
it makes it seem more like kind of bad planning or they ran out of budget and stuff, which I again, for it being 99 and you have 138 million dollars
28.
or 628 or 68 then it's like that's a lot of money to play with and kind of develop ideas and stuff, and I think that's maybe where it kind of missed for me in this area.
Yeah,
And I
that's fair.
love superheroes. I love the superhero genre. I enjoy spoof movies. But this one just didn't do it for me. And you know, I think it felt wacky. Like a child's birthday party with like the fart jokes and stuff like that.
Yep.
Or we like Fortnite, like that kind of stuff. It felt like messy in that kind of way, but it does have charm. You know, like there is levels of charm and stuff, and for me it didn't fix the film in any way or excuse those things, but for other people, I do think maybe they'll see it in a way that yeah, they can really enjoy it and look past those things because they have fond memories or they just enjoy the film, and I think it
Yeah.
had character and some charm, but not enough to make up for some of those things that I didn't like
Yeah.
about it.
I think to summarize, what we're saying is, it's a spoof, and we get that we can write off a lot of things to spoof, but there was some things that you can't just write off to spoof.
Right.
There's some things that you just have to do right.
With
Anyway.
any filmmaking, whether it's a spoof or a musical, a comedy, or horror, there's a level of care and attention that goes into
Yeah.
every single one. And I feel like this one maybe was missing some of that connection for me,
Sure.
where I couldn't look at it from the same kind of lens as normal.
Sure.
And that's kind of where I stand on that. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm with you, but I think for me, I can when I like up until we watched it together for this, I had never watched it from a cinematic critique point of view. It was always from we're gonna sit down and watch an old nostalgic fun movie. And so when you bring that element into it when I'm watching it, I felt like I noticed a lot more things this time. And I haven't watched it for probably 2 or 3 years at this point. So when we watched it for this, I was noticing a lot more things, which made me enjoy it less. But as the movie went on, I'm like at the start, I was like, oh, I forgot how really bad this is. or I didn't realize how bad this really was. But like, as we went on, I'm like, no, this is just like, this is fun, you know, because it's like, again, like you said, the memories. So, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
What's the next thing?
Well, I think we should talk about maybe some of that emotional connection, maybe in some of our own work. Um, when I've made some short films or worked on sets or done anything like that, I've always it's always been my baby, labor of love.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I film a scene and I'm like, guys, that was fantastic. That was gold. That was perfect. And then I edit it and I'm like, oh, that maybe wasn't as great as I thought it was.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
And it goes back and forth like that. And then even at the end, when I'm showing my friends and family, I'm like, okay, listen, it's not perfect, but hopefully, I learned this, and hopefully the next one will be better. But it's always, for me, it always starts like, this is the greatest thing I've ever worked on. And I'm super duper proud of it. And I wouldn't say I get less proud of it. I just think I think there's certain people who, when you show things to, also, it's like, yeah, you have to recognize those kind of critical elements.
Yep.
But you can also be allowed to be proud and connected to something because no one can tell you can't, right? It's part of the thing I love most about movies is that, I might hate a film and Adam might love it, and that's kind of what's happened here today. And I think that makes going to the theater each time a unique experience because you can watch all the trailers in the world and hear all your friends talk about it, but you're always going to have a unique experience in some way because you don't know how it's going to affect you. You don't know how you're going to relate to it, and you don't know if it's going to become one of your favorite movies in the history of the world when it's all done, right? So I think we talked about this movie for you and how super nostalgic watching it for the first time when you're 7 and watching it with your dad and enjoying it. And I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it for a long time, and your kids are going to love it because they watched it with you, right? I didn't have that experience for me. Like, that experience would be like the Star Wars and the original trilogy and the prequels and stuff. And I enjoyed the prequels as a kid, and then I liked them less as I got older, right? Mm-hmm. But I still have a strong connection to Star Wars, and I still really love Star Wars. It's my favorite series, favorite type of Lego. Every new Star Wars show that comes out, I'm watching it, whether it's good or bad, and I think that's one of those things where, you can be a film critic all day or an aficionado for these things, but at a certain point, you know what you like, and there's things that you're connected to.
Yeah.
And obviously, everyone does it, even if it's not conscious, you're going to kind of take some of that negative stuff and put it away just so you can have a good time and appreciate it because it's special to you. Sorry, I'm just...
Bless you.
Yeah. You want to take the torch?
Well, it's interesting. You said, like, when you're working on it, you're like, oh, this is great. For me, when I'm actually working on it, it never is as good as I was hoping. For me, the stage where I'm like, oh, this is perfect is when it's still in my head. Yeah. As soon as it gets on paper, I'm like, oh, this sucks. And then when we actually get to filming it, it's like, oh, this sucks even more. And then when I'm editing it, I'm like, oh my God, this is absolutely freaking terrible. And then the final product comes out and it's like a little bit better than freaking terrible, but it's still pretty close. Yeah. Right. But like in my head, like, I think we've showed Whiz Bang, that short that I worked on. I think we showed it on your show the one time. We showed both of ours. And see, Gary, you can hear Gary in the background. Oh, it was so good. And it's like, I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, that was just terrible.
Yeah, like, you're like, grade 11 me was on crack. And Gary's
literally.
Gary's like, come here.
Yeah, let's do crack together kind of thing. But like, I remember like when I was coming up with the idea for that, when I was like, all right, this is, for our final media school project like that, I've been working on that since like day one. When our teacher was like, all right, it's your final project. So like, start thinking about it now. So you have some ideas. And like, over those months, I was like perfecting it in my head. And like, I still got that movie in my head that is just perfect. Right. But like, that is not at all what came out. And it's still like, when I watch it now, I'm like, for the resources and the time and everything we had available, like I shot most of that movie in an afternoon because the first day of footage was unusable because I forgot a screw for the gimbal. So it was all handheld footage, and it was
was there.
Dog shit. Well, yeah, I mean, you were, right? But, like, we shot all of the action sequences, which is a good 2/3 of that movie, in an afternoon.
I had a great time on your set.
And it was fun. Like, it was really fun to just be out there and just, shooting a movie. But, like, the finished product is not at all what I envisioned. It's not bad, but it's not at all what I envisioned. So,
But
and who
think
knows?
you
Maybe
can-
it's the same thing with a movie like this. Like maybe the director had this vision for we're going to do this great spoof, and then he got it written down. It was like, oh, this isn't as good as I thought, and then they shot it, and it's like, oh, this really isn't as good. I mean, it's probably the same thing, at all levels. So.
Right. That is really fair. And I think even for you and I, when we look at something that maybe we're not as proud as we were like maybe a few years ago, there is stuff like, hey, yeah, we did learn from it, and at least we
for
did
sure.
it. There's a lot of hard work and effort that goes into these things, and that really, whether it's a good movie or a bad movie, shouldn't go undisputed. Because bottom line, at least one person was working super hard, or at least paying a lot to make it happen. Right.
I remember the very first I'm gonna call it film that I ever did, which was it was in grade 5, and it was for the did you ever do the Heritage Fair competition, or did you hear people doing that? Yeah, so anyway, we did it, and there was I went to like the regional level, and there was an award it was called the Young Citizens Award, I think. And so you would make a film of your Heritage Fair project, or like on that topic that you were that you had chosen for your Heritage Fair. And so that was like my first ever like video project. And so I was grade 5, so I was like, how old are you in grade 5? 10? Something like that. 10, 11? Around there. And I mean, I had help from my parents and everything, but I wrote it all out, and we filmed it, and I edited it, and that was the first time I ever edited anything. I remember spending hours working on it. It was like a 3-minute video, and I spent hours editing that in Windows Movie Maker, because that was still a thing. And I watch it now, and it's like, oh my God, it was really, really, really bad. But then I think, no, I made this when I was 10. Like, it's actually not terrible when you consider that a 10-year-old made this.
0 budget.
Yeah,
10
exactly.
years old.
Yeah.
1 day to work on it, whatever.
Yeah, like it was really not that bad. And like, that is what started my love for movie making. Like ever since then, I've been into it. And so, there's that aspect of it to be considered too, like you say, learning from it, but also like the igniting the passion part of it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
then I think that just directly correlates to when we talk about movies that you're emotionally connected to. I do think like even from a very young age, just watching a movie with your parents, that they really love, kind of makes you like it more, right?
Yep.
And like I think like movies like The Iron Giant or Star Wars or things like that,
Yep.
right? And like just have huge emotional influences and are great movies, but are even propelled further because someone we care for or love and was there with us when we watched it, and it affects us in a good way, or even the viewing experience, right?
Well, it's a connection too. Like, I mean, like I said, we quote Mr. Man. My dad and I quote it all the time. Like, it's that connection, and we do that all the time. We're quoting movies to each other all the time, but it's like that connection of you both know exactly. Somebody will mention something, we both just look at each other, and we both know exactly what we're thinking, and then we start singing the Waffle theme song.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's really special. And I don't think any critic or just anyone could take that away.
No, right?
And I think that's really an important thing to talk about for us, because it's like this phenomenon. Yeah, it's just like this. It's this crazy thing where I can look at it and be so angry. Oh, that wasn't a match cut, or like whatever. This movie is too long, but I'm there with the people who I want to be there with, and I'm enjoying it still, right? And it turns your brain off in a way where you're still watching the movie and enjoying it, and maybe looking at little bits and pieces, but I think you kind of accept more of its flaws, and you see them less as flaws from like a critical standpoint, and more of flaws from like a really charming, wholesome standpoint.
More as like quirks.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's not something that detracts from the movie, but it's just a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because we can sit here and look like, oh, this is why this film didn't win an Oscar and won 7 Razzies. But really, when you do really enjoy something, it's kind of like a hill you'll die on, even if you're not entirely meaning to, because it just, to the fiber of your being, it's like you're connected to it in a way. And I think that's something really special. And when a movie does that for you, I think it's a win. It didn't do that for me, obviously, but it did do that for you, right? When you were very young. And
Well, I mean, ultimately, that's like a movie is a personal experience. Like we talk about all about the critics' yours, and we can have our opinion on this, but if you enjoy a movie, you enjoy a movie, and that's good.
sure.
And that's what it's supposed to be, because a movie is one person's vision that everybody else gets to interpret.
Yeah.
Interpretate.
Don't worry. Phenomenon. All right. Well, I got a couple more facts, I guess.
Yeah,
Two
let's
facts.
hear the facts. We'll give it a
Mm.
rating, and then we'll finish her up.
Yeah. So Michael Bay plays one of the frat boys.
I
You
didn't
know,
notice
Michael Bay, like Transformers
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. Captain Amazing's jetpack sound uses the same 1966 Batmobile sound from the Batman television series. And those are some fun facts. I didn't have too much fun facts. I enjoyed I enjoyed the thing we talked about with like no, never mind. There wasn't. Oh, Scorsese's marriage.
Yeah.
That's the best fact in my
That's the
opinion.
best
It's just a
fact. It has
random.
nothing to do with it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a random
Yeah.
thing that happened on the same day. Scorsese married his fifth wife. I've never had a problem saying his name, and
Scorsese.
today I've messed up like 6 times. 6 times.
Times.
Oh my
You're
god!
really-
I don't know what it is. I think it's the mic or something, or maybe I'm not clearing my throat enough. I don't know. I'll pass the blame, I guess. Anyways,
Hi, Maggie.
do you want to go first with the rating, or should I?
Yeah, I'll go first here. So, I'm trying to blend the, emotional attachment, enjoyment, and realizing that it is really a shitty movie.
Use your heart. Use your heart.
Yeah. Oh, if I'm using my heart, it's like an 8.5.
Oh my
8.
god.
So that's why I'm trying to temper this a little bit, because I want to give it a more honest rating for your average viewer, right? So I'm gonna say a 7, just a straight 7.
Oh, I know you're a liar. I'm going to give it a 5. And I would have given it a 4.5, which is the lowest movie I probably have ever done. But I'm giving it a 5 because I had a really nice conversation with you today about it. And
I brought it up from a 4.5 to a 5.
I did learn something.
Mission accomplished.
I did learn something about CGI and afflictions, and and you know what? I think we did learn something too with the emotional connection of filmmaking.
that was a good topic. Even if we didn't talk as much about the movie, because there's not a lot to talk about really.
Well, thank God I did not want to talk about this movie. I'm happy we spent more time talking about Jurassic Park. We should have just done that.
We'll do it eventually. We'll get to it. There's a lot of movies to watch in this world, so
Yeah. If we do 4 episodes a day, every day until we're 70, we'll have done
0.1% of the movies in the world.
Yeah, so there's really no point.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys want to see next.
Yeah.
Big things coming soon. We're having a ball. So Thank you very much for watching. Let us know if you guys enjoyed this movie. If you liked it more than me and you agree with what I said, or if you think Adam is out to lunch, or maybe you also watched this movie when you were 7 with your dad and talk about waffles all the time. And so just let us know, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching The Viewing Room.
So yeah.